First things first on this video, I would like to say hello to everyone. Secondly, I would like to say thank you to Styx, my good friend. He helped me out when I was in a jam since I crashed my last machine, you know, not my big machine, but my little FPV rig. He helped me out by getting me this. So I'm back in the FPV game, guys, and I'm not using, this is actually a X5SW, which has its own Wi-Fi FPV. But you see what I did? I ordered another one of those 5.8 gigahertz real-time cameras. Far better than the FPV, than the Wi-Fi camera that comes with this. It does not interfere with the avionics inside this machine. So I just took this up. It's been a long while since I've done an FPV flight, and have a little video to show you. It's shaky and cruddy because one of the things that's happening, the hardest thing I've found flying by camera is holding altitude. And plus, wind tends to push these little ones around quite a bit. And we do get gusts once you get up above a certain height. Once you get above the tree line, it's a little tricky. So I was flying low this time, but there were still little 5 to 7 mile an hour gusts coming through the yard, you know. But by and large, the day was still. But this was just testing everything. I'm still trimming that aircraft out and everything, trying to get it balanced. I don't have a gymnasium around to actually set all the trim controls. I don't like flying it in a confined environment like a house, because it's too easy to run into stuff and break things and break your quad, you know. But anyway, took it up. First flight, first assessment. I was a little apprehensive about it. It's been a while since I've flown, and it still feels like a different world flying FPV. But got the thing up in the air and flew it around a little bit just out there in the front yard. So here's the films, and then I'll talk a little bit about it. So don't negatively criticize. Well, you can criticize it however you want, but don't expect this to be like super 4K footage from a Phantom 2 or something like that. I'm not flying that, and number one, I've only been flying FPV now for a total of maybe 3 days. So here it comes. Don't laugh. So this near miss of the post here, that was because I hadn't trimmed the aircraft yet. Most of these videos, what you're going to see here, are hover videos because I'm still trying to zero the aircraft. We had almost no wind. We still had some gusts here and there, but anyway, that's what I'm doing there. Also, I had the camera apparently pointed a little too high, so on my next flights after these, when I do this again, I'll have the camera cranked down about a notch. But yeah, most of this video is just hovering out there, moving in and out a little bit, and trying to get the trim set on the aircraft. Which, kind of weird, because you can send it up one time, you think you have it trimmed right, and it'll start drifting again. You have to trim it again, you know. Doesn't seem to, I guess pretty much every time I launch this thing I'm going to have to set the trim. So anyway, that's what these first two are. So I'll let y'all watch this and laugh, cry, kiss $3 goodbye, who knows. The other thing I discovered about flying by the camera, and I was going to and from, I was going from FPV to line of sight and then back to FPV. One of the hardest things I found is maintaining altitude, holding altitude on the camera. The ground comes up on you incredibly fast just as you're getting down there, and I think they call that ground rush. But one of the harder things. Now this I launched by camera. I didn't launch by line of sight. This is the first launch I did by camera. I tried to launch by camera the other time, but the trim was not set right, and I almost hit that post. But as you can see, it'll go up, it'll come down. When you're looking through that little screen, the changes in altitude don't show up when you're way up there. I mean, they show up, but it's just a little gradual thing. But then as you get closer to the ground, you start to realize just how fast or slow your climb and fall rate is. And believe me, the ground will catch up with you fast. I think this is one of the first ones. Yeah, this is where I filmed myself. And you can see in just a minute after it turns the other way. I'm going to yaw it around to the left. And as you can see what I'm doing, I'm flying line of sight. And then I will, every now and again, I'll go back to trying to fly by the camera. But just getting the trim, that drift that you see left to right, that's one thing. I'm setting trim. But the other thing is altitude. Like I was saying, it's visually, it's very difficult sometimes to tell if you're climbing or falling. And so that was some of the things I was having to deal with there as well. But I guess my opinion of using goggles and using a screen to fly by are, they're kind of up in the air. I do like the screen right now because if I start messing up flying FPV, I can look up and I can go to line of sight. So that's my thought on that. And eventually I hope to get to the point where I can just fly solidly by camera. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that with the X5SW. I may have to get something that has a little bit better accelerometers for altitude, because I mean this thing, you just breathe on it wrong and it's rising or falling. Very, very tight control, like maybe not even an eighth the width of your thumb, moving that throttle to keep your altitude held. So I think I do better training in an open area. Right now, it's like I said, I'm just calibrating the machine. I'm trying to get everything dialed in so that I can actually do some real flying. But this is just, this is probably my third or fourth group of flights under FPV. The very first one since I landed that other camera in the tree. In fact, I'm thinking about flying this up and seeing if I can locate where the other one landed in the tree, because it's black just like this one, and it's up in the pine tree and I just cannot see it from the ground. So, but it has a camera just like this one in it. But see here, I lost a lot of altitude. This is the other thing that's hard to tell when you're flying by camera. When you get into vortex ring state, the X5SW and X5SC have a hard time getting out of vortex ring. I mean, the only thing you can do is pitch or roll in a direction and push your throttle all the way up to recover from it. Hopefully you don't hit the ground. I think, yeah, this was the first one where I just landed it on the pad, and I actually did a pretty good job pinpointing at that time, but it was a little rough. And then I think it's in the next video or the one after, I actually softly landed it on the pad. I think it might have been this one. It might have been this one. So let y'all go here and talk a little later. Okay, and this is the last part of this. I was actually flying this, and my battery lights began flashing on this. I thought it was vortex ring state, but apparently I was losing enough power that it wasn't able to stay in the air. But it was right about that I got almost to the top of this tree. As I'm climbing to the height to see over this tree, you can see the power lines over there. But right about here somewhere, it's going to go into death wobble or vortex ring state right about here. It's on its way down. Yeah, that was when my motors were slowing down and cutting out. I got a little more height, but then it decided, no, we're not going to fly anymore, and you're going to see it here in just a second. The lights are flashing even as we speak. The battery has reached low voltage, so now it's in a quick descent, but the motors haven't stopped yet. And boom. So anyway, that was it. That last little bit, I was actually very surprised when that thing came down that it actually stopped recording the instant it hit the ground. I don't know if I pressed the button and did that, or if the impact caused the controller in the camera to quaver. But it didn't. I didn't lose my video. It didn't get corrupted, so I'm guessing it was a button stop or an intentional stop by the system. Who knows? But that's that. As like I said, it's going to do what it's going to do. But that was my probably third or fourth attempt at flying via camera. And so there it is, all for y'all to see. Comment below if you like. Don't criticize too harshly. It's like I said, I haven't been flying long. I'm still getting used to running by the camera. That's a whole other alien world, but it's one that should come naturally. Seems like when you're running FPV, you're driving rather than just flying, so it's a little different. I can foresee the benefits of, like, if you lose orientation by line of sight, you can look down into your camera, see where your machine is pointed, line it up, and bring it home. And the jury is still out on headless mode. Headless mode doesn't feel right when you're flying by camera, so tried it once, didn't care for it, and it would seem naturally that it wouldn't be. But I was in and out of headless mode while flying there, on and off. So I'm still trying to figure out the best combination. I think it'll be a while before I graduate up to goggles. But right now I'm just trying to fly by camera, and it's interesting. It's interesting. So I guess that's it. So there's my FPV video. Everybody, y'all have a good one. And we'll catch you later on with more video. Thanks, and bye.